Hello, how are you? Welcome to Extra Healthy-ish, the big sister podcast to Healthy-ish. This podcast from Body & Soul gives you that little bit extra in your day for your mind, body and soul. I'm your host, Felicity Harley. Joel Pilgrim joins me today via Zoom from Bondi. He's in fact a surf therapist and co-founder and CEO of Waves of Wellness Foundation, a mental health charity that's getting people out into the surf and saving lives. He's on today to talk about this charity and also how surfing is saving people's mental health. He's also got some great gossip about when he met Harry and Meghan too. Joel, thank you for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. And, well, I shouldn't really say Happy New Year. It's still the new year, right?
Let's hope this year's a bloody good one, right?
I know, fingers crossed. Well, I also ask this question for everyone who comes on the podcast. How do you stay extra healthy-ish in life, but perhaps how are you aiming to stay extra healthy-ish this year? Aside from surfing, you can't say surfing.
Yes, I'm not allowed to say, okay, no worries, Felicity. For me, I love the concept of healthy-ish purely because we are not perfect humans. We do not have the ability to be so regimented and perfect all the time, and aiming for healthy-ish is good enough, and it's great. I think a lot of people don't even get there. So for me, I often find that meditation is a huge thing. Eating healthy, being active, making sure I'm socially connected, because when I'm busy, stressed at work, I know that I can become quite socially isolated. And that sense of loneliness might even creep in where you think, oh, well, why? I've got all these people around me. Why don't I feel like I can connect with those people? So for me, it's just making sure the people that I love are around me and I can call on them and be a part of their lives as well.
Actually, I think that's a really good point. And because it's almost as exacerbated when we've been in and out of lockdowns, we're all working at home. You don't actually have that connection that you used to have perhaps in an office or a workspace. And you can often sit there and you're like, well, I know I've got friends. I know I'm supposed to be connected, but I'm here all day in my house.
Absolutely. And we take it for granted so much so that when we can usually catch up with people in the office or hang out with our loved ones around us, that when it's taken away from us, we don't even realise that it's gone necessarily. So from my team point of view, we've got 25 staff at Waves of Wellness all around Australia, and it's important for us to get together in a virtual capacity when we can't actually connect, let alone those people we can't see in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us a bit about Waves of Wellness, or WOW, the wow factor, as you said. For those who didn't listen to Healthy-ish, actually just recap, what is surf therapy? What do you actually do at WOW?
Surf therapy is the delivery of a group-based intervention using surfing. So the learn to surf aspect combined with group therapy to create whether that is psychological, psychosocial or physical gain for that individual. So for us, it's mental health and wellbeing, and combining surfing and the idea of mental health to draw out that idea of darkness and invisible nature, and giving people healthy outlets and physical activity in the process.
Oh, it's a double whammy in many ways. So
whammy.
Double whammy, yeah. Wow. Why did you start it? Give us a bit of the backstory. Where did it come from, this idea?
As a therapist, I was trained as an occupational therapist, and in the early days I worked at New South Wales Health and had the opportunity to get people back into that level of functioning that they want to achieve. As an OT, we asked people, what do you want to do? And I would do that to my young people. First episode, psychosis was the area I was working in. And this young man said to me, I want to get back to surfing. He'd put on, due to medication, weight gain, he put on a lot of kilos, and he wanted to get back to that normal aspect of his life. So I actually took a clinical risk and took him surfing one-on-one. I was a confident surfer myself, a lifeguard as well, and so I felt quite comfortable in doing so. But truth be told, I would have had my head on the chopping block, and it was a big risk that I took. But in that 30 minutes of out there floating around and hanging out with him, we got so much more out of that session than probably the last 3 months of working together in that white, sterile clinical setting.
And so what happened after that? You just thought, right, what am I doing in the white setting? Why don't I get out in the blue setting?
Well, absolutely. Blue space is where I think the future is. And I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And I almost said to myself, I did say, this needs to happen for more people. And so I set out over the next 5 years to try and strive to achieve that. In 2016, Waves of Wellness Foundation was founded.
So what actually happens in your sessions? What do you offer?
surf therapy is interesting because people often think, oh, I don't know how to surf. Maybe it's not for me, but it's actually perfectly for you because we teach you how to surf, and we have learn to surf instructors that are actually qualified clinicians who are teaching the surfing component. So we'll sit together, we'll come down and we'll hang out in our wetsuits and we'll talk through the mental health therapy components. We call that a mental health expression session, where we get a chance to connect, normalize, and share mental health strategies to be able to, I guess, educate people about mental health literacy. So someone who might be struggling with their own mental health challenges, maybe it's anxiety, they don't even know to call it that. And maybe someone else says, this is what my anxiety looks like. This is helpful things that I do to manage that. Here we talk around the cognitive behavioral therapy aspect of managing anxiety. And so all of a sudden people think, whoa, I came here to go surfing and now I'm getting all of these, secondary benefits. It's a great way of, we call it health by stealth, giving people the opportunity to manage their mental health when things are traveling well as when they're not going so well.
And what about, if you've never surfed before, or perhaps like me, as we chatted before, you're a bit scared of the big waves. How do we get past this and start surfing and reap the benefits from all that you offer?
It is so normal to be worried about the big waves, Felicity, so don't sweat it. You've got to consider that someone who's a surfer and is out there in those big waves is someone who's been surfing for 10, 15, 20 years. Myself, I'm a bit of a sicko and I love chasing the biggest waves I can find, but you're not going to be able to do that in one session. You're not going to be able to do that in a year. So it's around, in any instance, fighting off as much as you can chew, normalizing the fact that Rome wasn't built in a day, and ensuring that you're not putting unrealistic pressure on yourself. It's so easy to say, well, I'm not good enough. I need to be better. I need to be like the person next to me. But just like in life, we should never, ever be comparing ourselves with the person in the lane next to us. We are our own unique individual. We need to do life our way, not their way.
Actually, that's so true, because often when I go to the beach and I see these really cool, kick-ass women out the back and I think, oh my gosh, I just want to be one of those, but I can't get there. but that's like life.
They drive past you when you're running and you look like you're just like a bloody Usain Bolt.
You're so nice.
Think, I want to be like Felicity.
You're so kind. Okay, so you can get us there. We'll be back after this short break with more from Joel. Can you maybe share some of your stories about the impact you've had on people's lives?
Yeah, often at Waves of Wellness, we will hear from people that this program has changed my life. And in other instances, we'll hear from people that this actually saved my life. And one of the instances I can think of is a police officer. He was a 13-year police officer and he came to our program to, I guess, get support for a lot of the trauma that he'd experienced on the job. And during that time, he actually told us that you have found me at the perfect time because I don't know whether I'd be alive if it wasn't for accessing this program at that time. So when we hear that as therapists and surfing instructors, we know that this is such a unique recipe and we have to make sure that we cook up more of this recipe for more people to enjoy it.
What a great thing. What a profound thing for you to know that you've had an impact on, well, you've saved someone's life, basically.
Absolutely. And one of the things about healthy-ish is purpose, right? In life as humans, it's important that we do feel that we have that sense of purpose. And I am so grateful and I never take it for granted that every day I get to wake up and feel that sense of purpose, like I'm contributing to something greater than myself.
Yeah, I like that. You actually, when you jump on your website, which is great, by the way, you're big on meaningful conversations. And often these are hard. And even just like the policeman you said, putting your hand up and asking for help, it's easier said than done. How can we get better at initiating these conversations if we are struggling mentally?
Great question. Brené Brown, she's the vulnerability guru.
Yes.
And vulnerability is the real word here. It's so important to let down our guard and allow people in. And we don't have to be rough, tough. We don't have to put on that mask. We don't have to be strong and pretend that we've got our shit together, because quite often we don't. And no one has their shit together and no one realizes that because it just appears like everyone else has it going on. And so if we, from my point of view, sharing and being vulnerable and storytelling and sharing a lived experience is one of the really important things. And I have my own journey with mental health challenges as a young kid, whether it is, being bullied in school or having suicidal thoughts at the age of 13. And, these things are not They don't make you inhuman. They don't make you half a human. You are human because you experience any form of emotion. And often people will try and bury those emotions that they've experienced once, or they'll try and hide the trauma and not let anyone know. But living through that and talking about that in open and transparent ways, at Waves of Wellness, that's what we're all about. Let's talk about mental health in a way where it doesn't have to be that doom and gloom, that negative topic. We can have a lot of fun. We can have a lot of joy together while learning and talking about mental health.
And so does that just, do people, I suppose, when they first turn up to your workshops and sit around in that circle, is that, you must see their barriers and their guards just fall down throughout the week when they do open up about whatever they're struggling with.
And what they have at the start is an incredible fake facade of, no, this is me and I'm all good, yep, sweet. Often what we will do straight away is that we will hit the ground running and we will share stories. And each of our clinicians who are mental health trained will share about themselves. And typically you don't do that as a clinician or a psychologist. You literally will say, I'm here, they are there, I'm going to make sure that they don't overcome that boundary. But from my point of view, and I think the future of therapy is to normalize to the extent of it's us. It's not me and them. We're all talking about this. We're all in this together, and we're all humans that can go through some really difficult times in life.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that's actually something that Brené Brown does so wonderfully. Like if you listen to her podcast or her books, she's like, well, this has happened to me and this is what I've gone through. It might not necessarily be what you're experiencing, or you might experience something different, but here I am as I am.
Absolutely. And you might be thinking in a family context or a work context, I want to talk to this person. I know they're struggling, but you can't expect them to open up if you haven't been real with them yourself. So start from you. Start talking about yourself and opening up and normalizing to match pitch or lead the way for them to be able to come in and learn from how you've done that.
Actually, that's a great tip. Really good tip if you're worried about someone who's perhaps not doing it too well. Now, just changing tack a bit, I did see you in a picture with Meghan and Harry. What is this all about? Come on, tell us. We need some gossip.
I did. They came down to Bondi Beach to participate in the Mental Health Initiative One Wave, and I was a part of that group who got a chance to meet them and catch up with them. They were just such wonderful people, and they really get it. They understand the ups and downs. Harry himself has been through the ups and downs of mental health challenges, through everything that happened with his mother and the likes, and they're not afraid to acknowledge that. Often some people are worried of, I've got to put on this professional facade, I have to come across in this way. But at the end of the day, if we can all admit that things aren't great in our lives at certain points, then that's a great example. Meghan and Harry are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, they're wonderful advocates. What about your own mental health? How do you safeguard that?
Surfing. I'm allowed to say it.
You are. That's why I didn't want you to say it in the beginning.
No, surfing is the one thing that is an absolute non-negotiable in my life. Most days start with sunrise at the ocean, and that for me is about setting the tone or the cadence of my well-being by seeing the sun, the outdoors, the blue space, green space, the social connection of my mates out there, being able to dive under a wave and open my eyes and watch the wave go over it and think, wow, I'm grateful to be alive. Like, there's so much to do with the ocean that's more than just the sport of surfing. It's that spiritual connection. It's that social connection. There's so many things there. But for me, surfing is a massive part of my life. From the other side of things is really connecting with the people that mean something to me and holding on to energy reserves that I don't really want to let go of. Often in the past, I would be trying to be everything for everyone. And, healthy-ish, I think in particular, is about admitting that sometimes you can't be everything for everyone and you have to save stuff for yourself.
Actually, Joel, I love that. I actually, because energy drainers, obviously you do give out all this energy and then you're like, or to an energy drainer, and then you're like, what was I doing? Where's the energy left for me at the end of the day? I hear.
Absolutely. Yeah. So be protective, be a security guard, have your own boundaries, and be comfortable with what those boundaries are to understand what you will let people know about you, how you will let people in, and where the sort of buck stops.
Yeah, I love it. Joel, thank you. You're doing a wonderful thing. Thank you on behalf of us for changing people's lives, and thanks for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you, Felicity. I appreciate it. And if you are worried about those people in your life, don't feel like you have to have all those answers. If you do have someone struggling around you that might be doing it tough, you don't have to solve the world for them. Simply being there and asking, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Might make all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Just listening. See you later.
Take care. Thanks so much.
I love when we hear from people like Joel who are just really making a positive impact on other people's lives. If you want more info about Ways of Wellness, I will leave links to it in the show notes. If you want more info from us at, Extra Healthyish, or Body and Soul, you can download other episodes of Extra Healthyish. We publish a new episode for your wonderfully healthy ears every morning, Monday to Thursday. For more info, head to bodyandsoul.com.au or join the conversation via Body and Soul on Instagram or Facebook. You can see our TV. It is up now. Just a search for Body and Soul TV on YouTube. Thanks again for tuning into this chat with Joel. And if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.